I'm just feeling good today. This episode was good. I feel good about it. I talk about a few things in this episode. My original plan, honestly, when I got on this episode, was to break apart another song. I did it a couple episodes ago, and I enjoyed it. I broke apart one of our released musics, like what the original file looks like, and talk about how to make a song. But I had a list of things to get off my chest, and I started getting into it, and it was just like a fun kind of inspired episode. So I just stuck with it, and I'll save the song idea for another time. But just feeling good, back on track. A lot of exciting news. This is going to be a really fun, hopefully, pending no world disaster, really fun summer. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the episode. And I'm on a cool new mic now. I'm trying something different. This is like an electronic mic. A lot of cool stuff though. Tune in, enjoy. Na 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 na. I'm almost famous. Chill out, mom, I'm doing it my own way. I'm almost famous. I'll freak off, dad, I'll make my money someday. Oh. I don't know if it's like an age thing or if I'm just getting dumber, but I'm choking on drinks a lot more, like kind of on the regular. Once a day, I'd say. I send a liquid down the wrong tube. But I'm just looking through the camera here. I'm just looking at like the whole setup I'm sitting in. I got my computer, my monitors, the keyboard, this mic, the soundproofing like backdrop around me, and this just fires me up. Like, this is a real deal studio. I don't know. I feel good. I'm feeling good today. I was not feeling good. Like last episode, I joked about. I was joking about, depression. I don't think depression means like you're just sad. Like you're like, it's just like you're not yourself. You're just not really feeling that buzz, that like energy to be alive, and you just don't want to do anything. And I was definitely feeling a little bit of that. And I'll tell you, it doesn't look with me. The reason I don't even talk about it that often is because it doesn't really last long. Because I usually just, I never stay in a state too long, whether it's like super happy, super sad, or anything. I'm usually generally pretty neutral, maybe above neutral. I like to stay a little bit buzzing, a little bit positive. But I can talk about kind of how I got through it and where I'm at, and I'm feeling good. But first, I gotta give an extra special and unique shout out to Robbie's girlfriend, Olivia. And Olivia's been spending a lot of time at our house because she moved out of her condo, and we just have the space at our house, and literally none of us mind that she's around all the time, because she she does creative stuff with us, does fun stuff, just like a really good hang. Like it's honestly a nice addition to the monotony of just being locked into a house. And she was like, Robbie and I have been just a little bit tight on cash because we're spending thousands of dollars on music. And also we just happen to have moved into a much nicer place, which is almost double what we initially started paying in rent about a year and a half ago. Just like we're just increasing our expenditures trying to get it to an adult level. And she just out of the blue gave us a gift of money for no reason. It's none of our birthdays. She just was kind of like proud of, I guess, the steps we were taking to, I'll just read the card here. To Rob and Trav, I'm so proud of the hard work you both put into music and following your dreams. Love you both. Love you. You both make me a better musician. In brackets, I'd still be singing alone in my bedroom without you two. So go finish that song and get Famos. I love you. And she just gave us $400 cash. And what's crazy about that is I honestly would not normally accept that. Like, I would be like, nonsense. Like, we got to, like, you have no need, you don't, no need to give us $1. But it just, like, we legit need the money. And we were just like, that actually is really super, super helpful. And, so I had to give her a shout out at the beginning of this pod. What she's talking about with the singing and stuff. If you've been following Johnny Famos on Instagram or any of our like YouTube or anything, we've done some covers with her, and her voice is like, when I first heard it a couple years ago, it's just one of those, you're kind of, it moves you just the voice alone. And it is a really unique thing. There's a lot of really good singers. I'm a good singer, but I've never relied on my voice to move people. I rely on, what my X factor is my songwriting, my ability to, as you'll see in this episode, when I break down a song, my ability to put together and compose music that moves people. She could sing a lullaby to you and you'd be like, damn. And she was stage fright, like too scared to do all this stuff. And like Robbie, just got to give props to him, is the most like supportive, like, or I don't even know what the word is, supportive, because he was just like, you got to sing. He's always asking her to sing, get in front of people, show her voice and stuff like that. And obviously I've been trying to get her to do it on camera and stuff and sing with us and get out there. And she still was like kind of hit or miss with it until she made a TikTok of her singing that kind of blew up. But I talked about this a few episodes back. And I guess just that extra degree of support pushed her over the line now, where she sings a bunch on TikTok. So Olivia Di Clavasio on TikTok, check her out. But yeah, I just special shout out for that gift, because it's super nice. Because legitimately, like I'm selling things like that I don't need, just to make sure that we have the money. Like, it's going to cost us almost $6,000 to $8,000 to put out the music we want to put out in the next 6 months. And that's just the cost of doing business for this dream. And that's on top of like living and life and everything you want to do normally. So yeah, it was nice of her. So special shout out there, which gets me to, before I get into like breaking out on this song, gets me to like a bit of our plan. And so Robbie and I finally laid out our structured plan for the summer and priced it out, budgeted it out, like timeline, everything. So I'll give you a little sneak preview of what to expect from us. We just hopped in the studio and we did about 75% of the work on 2 songs. Unfortunately, some stuff happened with the studio being booked with other artists, and like it just messes with our timeline. Like, we're ready to rip, but we have to kind of space out our next few studio sessions between their other bookings. So we're back in on the 8th of April to do vocals to finish one of the songs. That'll be done probably towards the end of April. So we'll have a song towards the end of April. Then towards the end of April, we're going to hop in the studio for a couple more days. We'll finish a second song and start a third. And then that second song will hopefully be ready for like May 2 for like big summer launch, because it is a summer banger, like going to change our lives, going to change your lives. And then we'll get back in the studio around the time that's getting kind of released, where we'll finish the third song and potentially finish a fourth, but we'll definitely start a fourth. I think we'll probably end up trying to finish the fourth around then as well. And we'll be filming the music video for the first 2 songs around then. The music video, I think, even though like these songs, we like every song we make, and every song we make, we're like, wow, this is going to be great. Like, let's make a super, super sick music video. But just money-wise, like, we spent like several $1,000s, almost more than what we spent making the song on these music videos. And we've kind of shown what we can do with a few buddies. Like we've worked with Matt Tompkins and Breathe Entertainment to make our first video, which was spectacular, and all the people that helped and volunteered for that. Then we worked with Steven Sinakis and Josh Kobe, and Kevin, our roommate. LeBlanc really helped out, and Eli helped out on that shoot, and the band, and we made a dope song, a really, really dope music video. We kind of shown what we can do. I think at this point we kind of maybe have to let the music and our vibe do the talking, because it's just a lot of money. So we were thinking about doing like a combo music video for those first 2 songs, kind of like a live music video where we're in a room, and it's just like we need to show off what we can do live in a room, so that when we're going to agents, we're like, you want this at a show. Like it'll just be us set up, because like live was really our spark. When things were open and we'd play live, people would be like, that's where they'd come up and be like, loved your songs and like everything, but like, fuck, something happened at the show. Like we make people feel something, and I know it because I am the type of person that goes to a show and feels something. And like, that's exactly what I try to do when I do a show, is I want to make the room feel it, because I feel it on stage, and I'm assuming if I'm feeling it, people are feeling it. It's like this electricity, this kind of like, it's a real primal energy. But unfortunately, like we can't really do it in COVID, and it's hard to, like the people that don't come to our shows, aka managers or like industry people, I want them to see it. So we're going to set up a setting where we can show it with like lights and the guitars and everything set up in a room, and we'll just look sick, and we'll deliver these songs live performance, and they can be like, fuck, okay, I can see these guys opening up for like a big band or something. So that's our kind of plan. So we're going to do 4 songs, hopefully before summer even starts, and release them over the summer, 2 beginning of summer, 2 kind of midsummer. And we'll see what we'll do for the music videos for the second 2. That's up in the air, but at least the beginning is kind of sorted. And this is where I said like the $8,000 is kind of going towards, just to let you guys in. It's around $1,400 to finish a song in studio, which is very reasonable, and that's because we do a lot of the work at home in this home studio. And we do a lot of the work outside of the studio. Big artists will work in studio. Like they'll write in studio, they'll book studios out just to create or to just kind of try things out. We don't have that luxury. We have to go through everything meticulously at home and just try to recreate it professionally in studio, which is fine. It works great. And then, yeah, music videos, like, as I said, $2,000 to $3,000. But if you combine them, like, and you do a bit of a live show, it can be, about $1,000 a song, which is pretty reasonable, even though you're spending, $2,000 total. Then, so that's gonna be 4 songs. We have 10 songs, as I said, written that we want to get out. So we're gonna do an acoustic EP, because we want to start working our home production and cut down costs a little bit. We need to get more music out, and we just can't afford to do it all in studio until we get grants. And so we're going to do an acoustic EP. We have 4 songs that like we've written on acoustic that could be rock songs, and we could eventually make them rock songs, but they just sound like delicious. And I have the ability here with all the stuff in this kind of like sound treated room in our studio to make a really good quality home recording. And you'll tell, like when I break out this song in shortly, you'll tell, like, when I say we can't do it at home, we can. We did this song. We've done songs that we've released at home. It's totally fine. But you can only, our skill level only lets us make a certain type of music, which is like synthesized drums, and you'll recognize the sound. And then if you go back and you listen, or when we finally get to, when I break apart Victoria, which is the first song we did in a studio, you'll kind of hear the difference of like live drums, live mic'd guitars. It just kind of brings you, I don't know, it brings you to that next level. And that's why we go back and we pay for it. But it doesn't mean there aren't songs that match this style that we will do at home. So we're going to do an acoustic EP alongside these 4 studio songs. It'll be 3 or 4 acoustic songs that we'll sprinkle throughout the summer, and we'll DIY it. We'll have some fun. Like, we'll do clips of us playing it and writing it and recording it, put those out on TikTok, social media. We'll also self-produce and home produce, and then self-release, which will cost much less because you only have to pay for, we'll get the studio guy to mix it, we'll get a professional studio to master it, but we'll make it and produce it at home. So that'll be fun, and we'll do the videos for those ourselves. Like, we'll sit on a dock or in a park or in a cool setting, and just like, we'll get our buddy Mitch, who was on the last episode, to do the music videos, and he's just there for the fun, and like, I'm just really looking forward to summer. If you can't tell, that's why I'm in a much better mood, really, because when you have things to look forward to, it really, really helps. And I just felt like in COVID for the longest time we didn't, because music wasn't going well, so we had nothing kind of like productively to. That's where like the real darkness kind of came from in the last year. But yeah, so that's our commitment, and like that's how Robbie and I are kind of going to judge our success. I was talking with Eli, our friend Eli Brown, who's been on the podcast a few times, and he was like, "How are you guys going to judge your success now that you're kind of switching from motivation to a more like discipline and individualistic partnership, or kind of he's in charge of his shit, I'm in charge of my shit?" And I said, like, we can't judge our success based on like traditional success, like numbers and plays and whatever, because honestly, no one knows how to do that. But we can judge it on our input and even our output, like to a degree. Just doing the work to get, like, if we lay out a plan like that, just making sure we can afford it. So we have to do the work at our jobs or however we make our money. And also making sure that we put enough effort into the songs so that they match our expectations of where we know that they can be. And, if by this next fall, we've released 8 songs. And when I said we have 10, we're going to use 2 songs for a special grant application that requires you to submit 2 songs that you will not release until you hear back from the grant. So that'll be our 10 songs, and then the whole summer we'll be marketing those. So we'll have tons of content, and I have a few personal directives where I want to get like one of the songs on the radio, and I'm just going to hound TikTok and like email this radio station, like do everything I can. That's just for me, for fun. But we're also just going to work on like getting attention on TikTok or Instagram, and also reaching out to a bunch of managers and music people throughout the summer to try to get attention off of all that hard work and that investment. And if it all doesn't, when I say fails, like if we just come out of the summer and it won't be a failure, because we'll have all this great music, finally like a nice body of professional work that we can show off, and videos of us playing live, and you can look at it'll be a great portfolio. But if it fails, meaning like we don't get that immediate success, we haven't popped off, or we haven't been signed or managed, we are still applying for grants. And we came really close to getting these grants last time with a much smaller portfolio and resume. And we know kind of what we did wrong, and we think we can get it this coming year, or come like super, super close and get it within the next 2 years, but hopefully get it this coming year. And that'll be $20,000 to $60,000. It'll help us recover some of the costs, but also put out another song. So we'll just be writing, 20, 30 more songs between now and when we hear back from that grant. And then we could do like a really fun full album of songs, and maybe spend some time, like, because when we have 20, 60 grand, we can take 2 or 3 months off of life, and maybe go to a place to record it somewhere cool, maybe like Cali or in the mountains or BC. I don't even know where were, just like a cool environment, and just enjoy a few months of being artists. And that'll be a bucket list item in itself. But anyway, just to keep it moving, that's a general plan. And that's why I'm kind of excited. And you might hear a new pep in my step. Last episode, I just was legitimately lost. Like, I was sitting there before I tuned into the recording, and I had like writer's block or a creative block, and I was just like, I felt like I was in a glass cage of emotion. There was just nothing was coming to me. Normally I feel like I can just tune into my brain and something flows through and I can just create shit. But I just had nothing. So I flicked on Insta Live on my phone and was like, I'm just going to do this. Turn on Insta Live while I record the podcast, and hopefully, the universe will give me something to do. And luckily my buddy Alex Mitchell, as I said, he hopped in about halfway through that podcast for a little impromptu interview. But I referenced in his podcast how like his photography account as a casual photographer within the last year has grown to 8,000 legitimate followers. And he kind of is not like, he's not like a go follow me type of guy or like whatever. And it's got there purely through like using hashtags, putting out consistent good photos. Like, he's obviously talented, and interacting with like the community, just like following photographers he likes or blogs or photo accounts, interacting on the photos, DMing people. Like, he'll be active about it. And just that alone, mixed with talent, simple, consistent efforts is what's grown him there, because these accounts see his photos and see him interacting, and then they, or he leaves comments on Instagram posts that are very popular. And if his comments gets a lot of likes, a lot of people check out his page and they see these photos, which are good. And I would compare it like, oh, like the same deal. Like, people are like, oh, they see our music and they're like, this is good. And so Robbie's been part of his, like, because we're more being partners this year instead of like, before it was really like, because I had so much experience running businesses and being an entrepreneur, I was more being like, hey, like, let's do this, let's do that. And like, kind of like being like a little bit of a not micromanager, but just like kind of like really involved in what Robbie was doing. And now, since we almost split up in quarantine because we fell flat on our faces. But now our kind of thing is like, you're a partner, I'm a partner, show me what you got. And so he's been working for 3 months, and he hasn't really figured out what he's really doing besides music, which he's been doing a great job with, like just coordinating, just a general, like getting into the studio and taking the time to practice and write. But he's adding on things with like grants. He's taking on the grants, and he's taking on Insta posting. So if you've been following us, you've been seeing that just in the last week or so, he's been posting. And what I really like about it is we have thousands of photos. And I've always been the type of guy that's like, you take 1 or 2 or maybe 5 good photos from a photo shoot or an event, and then that event is done. But a lot of the bands and content creators, they just put the content out. Like, we have so many good photos from video shoots and stuff that happens and shows. And like, he's just been going back and like putting up some of his favorites, putting a nice caption, using good hashtags. And we're worried about like boring our friends that follow us. But realistically, if you use proper hashtags, like it's been like a lot of strangers interacting with our band page since he's been doing this and posting frequently. So they're seeing it all fresh. And for the friends and stuff that follow us, I'm sure it doesn't really bother them that we're just putting up pictures. Like, it's just a scroll on Instagram, and you probably like it, and it's really no big deal. And it's kind of like a big mental barrier to get through. And I'm really happy we're kind of getting through that, because we have so many good photos, and these are professionally taken. Like Josh Kobe, who took the behind the scenes photos, and Dom Lisi, who took the behind the scenes photos from our last 2 music videos, like separately, they each did 1. They're sick, and they're like professionally done, and like they deserve to be out there in their own right. Like, they're a piece of art in their own right. And I don't know why we'd feel that way, but yeah, it's been working. Like, we've been getting followers, comments, the likes roll in from strangers from these hashtags. And I'm just pumped that he's kind of doing that, and he's taking that on. For me, doing the TikTok, I finally had a video break through. Like I've been trying to get somewhat viral on TikTok. I've been ever since Liv and I joked about making competition who can get bigger, and she went viral within like the first week of that competition. I've been like trying and trying and trying. I finally had one that I posted it and thousands of views immediately, thousands. And then classic TikTok, it's just flying. People are liking it. It gets 3,000 views and like 100 and something likes, and then it just shuts off. They just shut it off. And I don't know why TikTok does that, but it at least I know my videos are make it to the For You page if they have something catchy. And I need to find a way to make some videos that I guess people share, so that even if TikTok, I guess, cuts it from the For You page, it will be shared enough that TikTok will be like, all right, like at least I know it can get that initial steam, which is what I wasn't sure if my account was like blocked from, because I was not getting that anymore. But yeah, it's a challenge in its own right. But yeah, like that's kind of like the general plan, and just being more of a like less afraid of like just acting like we're already a successful band that posts pictures all the time and interacts and not worried about what people think, because we got to do these things to get Instagram to get exposure. We got to do these things on TikTok to get exposure, because and when I had a meeting with a music manager recently, and he's like, that's like, it doesn't really matter about the music anymore unless you find a really music-based manager who's like, I'm going to find the next artist that has all this potential and I'll make them big, and I know I can do that, but I need to find the art. The majority of music managers and record companies are looking for an artist that is already breaking through. And then they'll just take that because they don't want to risk. There's so many artists that are talented. They don't want to risk it on an artist that may be talented but not align with any market that can make them money. So they're really just kind of waiting for people to get some sort of TikTok success or Insta success or stream and playlist success. So we have to go out there and get that ourselves. Yeah. Anyway, that's a vibe. We're kind of getting into this the mid of the episode. And I do want to get into the song and like open up the track for you guys. But the last things I want to say, speaking of music managers, is we got a nice like spam reach out. And I'm assuming it's from all like the Instagram posting we've been doing and our emails attached to it. But we got an email from Columbia Records. Whoa, Sandra at Columbia Records. And she's like, oh, like this is whatever. Like we got this big opportunity. We want to sign you. You know, we want to fly you out to New York and, you know, all this shit. Like, and Robbie's responding to it. So I just see like these like kind of like, I'm assuming he's going to tell me. I assumed it's spam, my initial reaction, but I see that he's responding. So I'm like, is that not spam? Like, are we actually getting approached by an A&R? And so the emails go back and forth. And finally I open it up and immediately I just click the email address and I see that it's sandra.columbiarecords@gmail.com. And I'm like, these spammers do not even spend the littlest amount of effort. Like if I'm spamming you, I'm going to buy a URL that is somewhat close to Columbia Records. Like I would buy Columbia Records CA or Columbia-records.com, like something like, or even like Columbia account or a Columbia music. Like I would find whatever random word that they haven't purchased, buy that domain and send emails from that, not Gmail. You just put it a little bit of effort. And like, obviously now I'm reading through it and Robbie's joking about it. He's like, yeah, I knew it was a scam, but Robbie gets a little sick twist out of responding to these things. And it gets him in trouble sometimes. Like he got a random text one time from a group chat of women trying to organize a dinner, and he just responded, was like, yeah, girls, like, where are we going? Like, let's get a tally. And like, he's joking around, having a good time. And then at some point he recognizes a name and he realizes that these are some of his mom's friends that have obviously somehow switched and clicked Robbie's number or got Robbie's number from something instead of his mom, Bev's. And he's just been fucking with them in text and has to like tell his mom and be like, shit, like you have to explain to them I was joking, and like you have to also show up to this Italian restaurant on May whatever because I made plans. Anyway, but yeah, so he was like responding, and this lady's like, yeah, we'll send over a contract. It's going to be like a $290,000 starting salary plus like this much for recording and this much for signing bonus, and all you have to do is send us $95 to process. It's like always some bullshit like that. Scammers just they're so dumb, but the problem is there's always someone smarter than you and there's always someone dumber than you. So that spammer finds people and preys on their weakness and their dreams and gets them to send them $95 because they want like, anyway, thought that was funny. Is there anything else? No, just in general, I apologize. Just as a small apology. I listen to my podcasts after I put them out, on my next drive. I'll just listen through to make sure that it's entertaining and I'm liking. And I'm going to be honest, there's been a few episodes where, and this could just be my self-criticism, and I know that I've talked to a few people that listen regularly that tell me that they're still engaged and they still like it. But I have personally listened back to a few episodes where I have felt kind of bored and not entertained. And I know that, if you're making hundreds of podcast episodes, they can't all be home runs. I've always been okay with that, but even the ones that are semi-boring usually have a spark or some sort of decent thing, a seed of goodness in them that I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just develop that a bit more next time and kind of trim out the stuff that maybe dragged on too long. And I feel like it was a reflection of kind of that mental block I was in, and that I was having issues with my discipline, and it was kind of showing through immediately in my creative output, including the podcast, which is kind of what was happening a little bit in quarantine too. But I can fix my discipline a lot faster now that I'm on top of it. It is not like motivation where like I'm gonna have a lull for 2 months until I find a way out, something to motivate me. It's like, no, I don't care about motivation anymore. I literally care about hard work only and trusting the process. So when I have a bad few days, like what was it? Yesterday was Tuesday, Monday, I had a fucking bad day. I just like, and even yesterday morning, I got up at 6 a.m. like I normally did. And I spent 2.5 hours on TikTok in the morning and got out of bed at 8:30, which is funny because 8:30 is still like a reasonable time for most people to start their day and start work. But I felt like I started the day feeling like a failure because I was like, I just wasted 2.5 hours of my prime morning on this shit. But the keys I find with motivation or with discipline, because I've been on the discipline gang, is the hardest thing about discipline is the starting. So if it's like, or just like the first step, and I've talked about this before, but if the hardest part about having a good day is getting up. So if you just focus on getting up and getting out of bed when your alarm goes off, the rest of the day really seems to fall into place. I used to joke that the hardest part about working out was going to the gym. Once you're there, you'll work out. The hardest part about doing hard work is usually that first sentence, just opening up the file or opening up the first research page. We delay that. And it's funny because that task is usually the easiest. Of my day, of all the hard things I do in a day, the easiest thing I do is open my eyes and stand up. But yet that's the thing people struggle with the most. And so, if I clip this up and put it into TikTok, if you're having a hard time being a disciplined person, just focus on the first step of that. And don't motivate yourself because motivation sucks. just only focus on the art of discipline, which is you set that alarm, whatever it is. For me, it's 6 a.m. And when that goes off, the snooze button isn't an option because you're not making choices when you're at your weakest, which is in the morning, when you're laying in bed, when you're covered in comfort. You never make decisions then. You make your decision when you're strong, and then you use discipline when you're weak because the decision's already been made. You get up when the alarm goes off and you just stand up. That's it. You do not cruise on your phone or else you'll stay on your phone. You do not stay and you don't make that decision because you will not be able to, once you're cruising TikTok and whatever, it becomes a conversation. When do I get out of bed? When's my next video? And you've already lost. You just get up and you stand up and then everything seems to click after that. I'm like, all right, I'm already standing. I'm kind of tired. I know my next thing on my list is to clean my room, like make my bed, like clean up hang up my clothes or put everything away. That's what I like to do in the morning to wake up. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of tired. I'm standing though. I got to put clothes on. So you just get moving. You put on your athletic clothes because you're going to go for a run. So you're already in your athletic clothes because you just can't be standing like naked. You clean your room. You're kind of awake. You're like, you know what? At that point, you're like, I need either, like some people take a shower, but I go for a run to wake up. I need to wake up a little bit more. I love going for a run in the morning. It like clears the mind, wakes you up. But when I'm laying in bed cruising TikTok, the thought of going on that run seems like an impossible procedure. So just focus on the starting. So when I don't want to run, like all winter when it was miserable outside, I would just get out the door. Because once you're out the door, you're going to run. You're not going to turn around. So like you just got to focus on these starts, the starting, and the rest just comes naturally. Your body is not a weak little bitch. Your mind is. You just got to get over that first hump and you always will do the hard work after. Anyway, that's my little tips and tricks. And I'll tell you what that is one of the best cures for being in a depressive state is actions, doing things. Because you then don't have this time and space for your mind to run wild, and it's only running wild because it's not engaged. And it knows that by you not doing anything, you're also fucking future you. And that's where the anxiety and the depression like really likes to feed off of. So I find a lot of people that struggle with mental health, they're either super productive and it seems like an escape, but it is what's helping them, or they can't get out of bed. So like, and they're stuck in that way. So, I mean, I don't know the cures and I'm not saying anything about mental health, but for my mental health, definitely when I'm exercising and all this shit and doing stuff for music, and I just am so much a better person. Anyway, do I even break apart the song today? Like it's already 40 minutes in. I could probably wrap up this podcast as this, and maybe I'll save the doing of the song for another time, and I'll just finish this off because I pretty much I've already talked for like 40 minutes. Keep it short and sweet. Keep it entertaining. The last thing then to do instead of doing the song is I sold so as I said, like I'm selling things for to try to help just get some money to pay for like this excessive shit. And like classic me though, so I had a motorbike that I was debating. I have a few motorbikes, but there was one that it's not really my style, and I was debating selling it or riding it. And like I'm like, no, I need the money. I'll sell it. And I ended up selling it just yesterday, and I sold it to a girl actually, which is really cool. Not many girls ride. And I literally asked her, I was like, do you have any friends that do this? She's like, nope. I'm like, do you have brothers or like a father that's into this? And like, I'm not trying to be sexist, but I'm like, did you grow up like watching, did you have a role model? Because she was telling me, she's like, I just love vehicles. I love cars. I love boats. I love motorcycles. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, same. But like, I can tell you that as a young man, I played the fuck out of Hot Wheels, would always have racing video games and car video games, would watch all car and like dirt bike. Like it was idolized like race car, rally and motocross drivers and shit. I'm like, I used to sleep with toy cars in my bed. Like it was very clear to see that I was influenced like at a young age to like vehicles. And she's like, nope, none of that. Just like, what'd she say? She's like, I rode a moped when I was in Southeast Asia. And I was like, this is dope. And then I just got a motorcycle, and now I love that. And I want, like, I've always just kind of like wanted a cool car and like boats, and I just love toys. So I thought that was super unique. But this this poor girl, I'm selling her the bike, and I sold it. I pretty much made no money on it. I just got kind of like my money out of it because I don't really care. Like if they're a good person, it's like, it's terrible business. That's why I wasn't the best with my first few businesses, because I would just, if I just like to be nice to people. I don't like, I hate taking money from people, and that's like what business is. But she goes to the counter because I'm there with her. I went to the Service Ontario to transfer it with her because I need to do something there anyway. And I didn't have the ownership with me. I left it at my parents' place, and it was just too much work. So I just went with her, and she's putting a new plate on the bike. And I guess before you buy a new plate for a vehicle, you have to pay all your old parking tickets. And this girl didn't even bring her credit card with her because she just like pays tap on the phone. She was assuming it was going to be like less than, I guess, the $250 tap limit. And she's like, the guy's like, oh, okay, before you put that plate on, like, you got to pay your parking tickets. And she's like, that's weird. Like, I've only ever had a motorcycle, not a car. Like, motorcycles don't really get parking tickets. And he's like, yeah, that's right. But like, you got 7, and it's $750 you have to pay. And she was like, I don't even have a credit card with me. So I was like, I didn't hear the amount. I just saw that she was having trouble, and I walked up, and she was like, oh, like, I got parking tickets I got to pay, but I don't have my credit card. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, like, I'll just pay him and you send me the money. She's like, cool, that's great. She's like, I'm like, how much is it? She's like, $750. I legit have like $500 on my credit card. I needed of like space. I actually needed her money to pay off my credit card. Like, that's why I'm selling the bike. I wanted to take 2,500 or 2,400, whatever, off the credit card. And so I'm like, he's like, I had to like be like, I actually don't have that room on my credit card, which was quite embarrassing. I guess I could have if I used my check-ins account, but I don't think they can split it up. They said they can't split it up. That's why I couldn't do it. But I could have paid straight cash out of my check-ins. Maybe I could have done it for her. But anyway, regardless, poor girl, she had to drop $750 bones at the thing. And this is where I'm fucked up because, okay, cool, I take a chunk out of my debt. I have tons of other money, but I get paid monthly for my part-time job. And so it usually comes in after the month end, and I have rent and all these bills due at month end. So it's like, it's just this weird overlap. So I was happy to sell the bike before month end. And the, like, immediately after selling that bike to her, and she just hopped on it and rode away, and I saw her riding, and I saw everyone on motorbikes yesterday. It was so nice. And I was like, I gotta fucking get a bike. Like, my solution, the reason why I suck at selling shit is because instead of selling stuff, my solution is like, why don't I just go and make more money? And then I can also have a bike. So, cause like I have a classic car that I like riding around in the summer, and I've been debating selling it because I only drive it 4 or 5 weekends, and it's kind of costly to maintain. But I'm like, but I like it. And like, I really enjoy having like this little cool car to take out every now and then. And like, these are my passions. I just happen to have expensive passions. It's what brings me joy. It's like literally vehicles are what bring me joy outside of my career. So I'm like, fuck, I was like, I kind of want a motorbike again. And immediately I've been just been looking at this. There's just one bike I want. I did all this research before. I already knew kind of what bike I want, but I started looking, and it's for sale, and there's lots of places that are financing it for quite reasonable. And I watched a bunch of videos, and now I'm like, I need this bike. And what's crazy is insurance. So you forget about that, and I forgot about that. And I literally was calling this dealership because they were going to finance it for, and even Yamaha's got great financing. Like you can pay $140 a month to finance a motorcycle, which is pretty good. Like I pay that in Uber Eats a month. So if I just don't Uber Eats, I got a motorcycle. And I was like about to call the dealership, like ready to go. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me just see what insurance is. Cause I know Ontario is one of the highest insurances in the world. Another strike against fucking living in Toronto. It's crazy high insurance. And on top of crazy high house prices and cost of living, all this shit. Like why in a place where our healthcare is free and we have limits on how much you can sue people, which is like the liability, component of accidents, like why is it more than the States, which has like unlimited lawsuit liability and like not free healthcare? That's what I don't understand. And I was looking into it, and I was looking in forums, and the bike I want is worth about, I don't know, 10-ish grand new. You can maybe get them for like 85 or like 9,000, maybe 95, with some like dealer incentives, or if you get like one that's like new but like a year or so old, you can get them used for like 6,000-7,000 that are in like really great shape. So like to paint a picture, it's not that crazy. Ask me how much insurance quote. $4,000 a year? Yeah. Half the cost of the bike per year? Yeah. Are you fucked? Are you literally fucking out of your tree? Do you know how much the ticket for not having insurance is? $2,200. I could pay that twice a year and just drive around without insurance. Are you out of your fucking mind? What am I going to pay? What is that for, in case the bike gets stolen? Well, every 2 years I buy the bike anyway. Oh, if you injure someone, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe just insure me for that. I was like, okay, take off the theft, the fire insurance, everything. Take off everything, because fuck you guys was like my mindset. And I was like, just if I hurt someone, just so that if I get sued for, again, Canada's got a really limited liability suit compared to the States. And they're like, it was still like 20. And I called places outside of Toronto. I was calling places up north, like far up north. And I was like, dude, I was like, I live up north. Like, what does insurance cost? Because I just wanted to see what it is. And it was without all the protection, just liability. It's like $2,400 for that bike, $2,200. And the only thing that would make it better is if I put my home and my car, which I don't have a home, and my car is already insured brilliantly through like my family's kind of insurance. Like I don't want to pay any more for that. And my other car is insured as a classic, and I pay like literally $500, maybe less than $500 a year to insure it. Like I do not want to change those insurances. So like I don't know what to do, but it's literally all I'm thinking about is like how if they're talking about COVID cases going back up and more lockdowns and salons and shit not opening up, and like if you're gonna keep doing this to me, I need to fuck off somewhere. I need to get on the road and just drive. Like it's the only thing that brings me peace. When I ride my dirt bike, when I ride snowmobiles or get on the jet ski, like that is the only time where my mind is at ease, other than when I'm writing music or doing a podcast, like when I'm in a stream of consciousness. And it's like this peace. It's like this like really cool feeling when you're in sports. Like it's like when I'm performing like this kind of action that takes like skill and is fun, and I just love it. And now I'm like, fuck, I just sold that bike, but I might turn right around and use that cash, put a down payment, and maybe get the insurance flowing, and then I'll just figure out another way to pay off my debts. My family is super anti-motorcycle. I probably have to have a little bit of a chat with them it just makes them really sad and they get really scared for me. But I'm like right back at you. I'm like, you guys are in your 60s and there's a pandemic out here. Like I'm scared about you guys all the time too. So, it's kind of you got to live. They still got to see their friends and go to the store, and they're saying, oh, we're not worried about getting COVID. Like if it happens, it happens. Like they're very good about it, but they're still like, they got to live their lives. They want to see their family. They want to see us. And they're like, we'd rather you see us. And basically, I was like, I'd rather fucking die than not see my family, which is kind of gangster. So it's like, I'm like, I'm very respectful of the dangers of motorcycling. And I know that it's a possibility, but I also know that I do a lot of dangerous stuff, and I usually do at least everything in my power to make the risk minimal. And I do trust myself in that regard. And it's one of those things where I don't like living to me is that shit. It's going, like, you think flying a plane was safe? I did that for 4 years. Like, you think when I'm on the dirt bike track, like, that's exactly safe? People die on snowmobiles all the time. Like, I don't do the safest shit. I just try to make not safe shit as safe as I can. And I think with a motorbike, like, as long as I'm not riding in traffic, and as long as I'm not going too fast, and as long as I'm really cognizant of, gravel and leaves on the ground, as well as hidden entrances and left turns, and just like the real like highlight areas where motorcyclists get hurt, wear the right safety gear, I'd pretty much only be riding in evenings or like on country roads to get up north or to get out of the city. And like, the more I say it out loud, the more Daddy might need another fucking motorbike. The other motorbikes I own are both kind of, one's purely off-road, and that's when I take to the track, and the other one's on-road, off-road. And it's just kind of, it's cool to have that like on-road, off-road fun, because like you just have this like dirt bike that you can ride on the road, which is dope, because like fucking speed bumps, potholes, curbs, like you can fucking hit anything. Like, you just got these giant shocks, and you don't care about dirt or gravel or whatever on the road. And it was sick. It's cool, but it's not very fast. And long trips on like country roads, it's kind of, it's a bit much for a smaller engine bike like that. And I kind of want to have that. I want my dad to ride that, honestly. He's got his motorcycle license. I want him to ride it around. They're living up north, so I want him to take that around the cottage road. Like, get out there, go for a ride. Like, that's what it's made for. Like, on those dirt roads, take it to the marina, take it to the local store. So I kind of want to save it for him up there. To be honest, he bought the bike from me. I was going to sell it because I was like, I don't need two of these dirt bikes. And he's like, no, I kind of want it. So he bought it from me. So it's really his. But he hasn't really ridden it because it's not insured for the road, and he doesn't feel comfortable on the trails track. So I think I might get that one on the road from this summer, and that'll be like the little fun cottagey kind of thing where they're living up north. And I think old T-Bone's got to get. I might just have to risk it and get that like cheapest insurance I can get, and maybe get a more used. I was like looking at new because I could finance it, but maybe I'll sell like my blood or my semen or something and get up 4 or 5 G's to buy a used one. But I don't know. That's just where my head goes, and it's it's a problem. It's a legitimate problem because I have that mentality with everything. It's like, oh, move into this dope house, pay more rent than I could even comprehend right now. I'll just make more money. And like, I get so close to the line. I have to go into debt routinely and pay it off. And then I also have all this music expense on top. I'm like, I'll just make more money. And it always brings this like weight and craziness of stress. But if I get out of it and I pay it all off, I'm essentially increasing my lifestyle through this like fear tactic versus like waiting till I go out and make a bunch of money to increase my lifestyle. So it may just be the way I work, but you may also see me filing for Chapter 11. I don't even know what that means, but I hear people say it. Bankruptcy. Probably not. I would just sell all my shit if I ever got in too much trouble. Like I just sell that car, sell the bike, sell some gear. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that's everything I had on my listable. Let me look. Yeah. Anyway, that's the outlook. So expect big things from us. I'm again super appreciative for the people that come to these. I remember the final thing on my list. Another application for this podcast, which I've seen a lot of people on TikTok cut up like really catchy podcast clips. So next episode, maybe I might bring in a little bit of that energy where I pick specific kind of funny or little things that I can talk about. Like maybe I can clip stuff out of a natural podcast that are funny I can put on TikTok. But yeah, I'm going to add that to it. But anyway, I appreciate the people that kind of stick with it. And extra special shout out to the ones that do constantly reassure me when I'm having tough times. I'll give a special shout out to my sister's friend Steph, who last week when I was over there celebrating my sister's dog's 2nd birthday, I know that's a real thing, I did celebrate. She was there and she just like straight up pulled me aside and was like, "You're killing it. Like you're killing it with the music. I watch all your TikToks are great. Like whatever." And I was like, "Thank you." I was like, "You actually have no idea. I'm in like a really like self-doubty like place. I'm just not really feeling it." She's like, "No, you're killing it. Keep going. You'll eventually break through. I listen to your songs." Like I don't think she listened to the podcast, but she's like, "I see that you do a podcast, but the TikToks are so funny. I like them all. And you'll break through. I promise you, just like stick through it." And like that was out of the blue, like unprompted. My sister's friends are all super supportive. So are my friends, but I had to give her a shout out because I was feeling bad last week and that helps. So thanks to all the people listening, and let's get rich. Let's get famous. Let's get motorbikes. Let's just do what makes us happy. We're all just animals. We're like little ants on this fucking pebble and we just fuck the earth up, and there's all this crazy shit out there and everyone's canceling, and it's so like, fuck it all, man. Just be happy. Have good relationships. Do what you love. And if you run out of money doing it, then maybe change a couple things. But that's kind of where I'm at. Anyway, love y'all. Later.